Welcome back, everybody. So my next movie review for you is Sonic the Hedgehog. So Sonic the Hedgehog is directed by Jeff Fowler. It stars Jim Carrey, James Marsden, Ben Schwartz, plus many, many others. So in this Sonic movie, we get to see Sonic the Hedgehog basically sent to Earth because there is a bit of a civil war raging on his planet. He gets sent there because obviously he possesses some very strong energy and some very strong powers. And basically, he is sent to Earth to basically go into hiding. He spends a considerable amount of time on Earth without any interaction with humans, as such, and just watching them and trying to kind of make Earth his home. It isn't long before the premise of this movie starts to change, and that's pretty much about as much as I can actually say without actually giving too much away, which I don't want to do. Now, I went into this movie watching probably about one trailer, and that was probably the first trailer that got released, and I wasn't hugely interested in this movie. I enjoyed playing Sonic the Hedgehog on the computer on the old Sega when I was a kid, but when they announced they were going to make a Sonic movie, I was just like, oh, okay, we'll see. And then they released that first trailer, and I was just like, oh, okay. And then I've never watched anything after that. I watched this movie today, and I've got to be honest with you, I was pleasantly entertained by this movie. Okay, it's not the best movie in the world. Okay, I wouldn't say this is absolutely brilliant and fantastic. All I'm saying is it is a very, very entertaining movie. This movie is an 1 hour 30-minute long movie. It's the perfect running time as well. I was entertained. Okay, I was. I'm not going to go too into depth with this movie because I want you guys to literally watch this movie and make up your own mind, especially if you're a fan of playing the game as well. There's not a huge amount of that in this movie. There are little snippets and there's certain bits in this movie which are nods to the game, but it's not hugely about that as such. There are obviously you've got the rings in this as well. I'm not going to go too into depth with the storyline as such with this, because I don't want to give it away. It's not a complicated storyline in any way, shape, or form. You're not going to get lost in this storyline. They haven't overcomplicated it. To be fair, this movie is mainly directed at kids, and you can see that as well, just from its comedic content which is in this movie. And yes, there are funny bits in this movie, and yet there are some bits in here which are not quite as funny as well, or I personally didn't find funny. Like I said, this movie is directed more towards the kind of kid genre instead of more of the older generation as such in the feel of this movie. I mean, there are things I would like to have seen in this movie. I can't lie to you, but for just sitting down and watching this as an entertainment value kind of movie, I actually really enjoyed it. There are some very, very good moments in here. Now, performances in here. You see, now Jim Carrey is Dr. Robotnik. Now he is, unfortunately, the downside with Jim casting Jim Carrey, and I'm not saying he was bad, and he's not bad in this movie in any way, shape, or form. He's just you're watching Jim Carrey like you watch him in his past movies as well. To be fair, he's pretty much exactly the same. There is some funny bits in here from him, but a lot of it just felt like forced comedy in a certain respect. Again, I know that I'm 36, and this is directed more at kind of kids. By the feel of this movie, it is directed more at kids. To be fair, there's no real adult kind of content in here as well, which I didn't kind of expect. His performance in here is okay, but it's literally just Jim Carrey playing a Jim Carrey role. And if you watched the majority of Jim Carrey roles, they're pretty much all the same, apart from a few other performances in this, as in James Marsden. I did enjoy his performance. Again, there were certain points in here from him where I found it funny, and other points where I didn't find it quite as funny. It didn't spoil this movie for me in any way, shape, or form. And then you got the feel of Sonic in this movie. I did generally enjoy him. Is in certain points, I did find him a little bit of annoying in certain places, but it wasn't enough for me to go, I actually really dislike this character in any way, shape, or form. It's just the way I went into this, the way I went into watching this movie, is like, if I can get to the end of this movie and feel entertained. I wasn't bored in this movie in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, I'm not saying this is the best movie ever. All I'm saying is that I quite happily started watching this movie, and at the end, I was like, going, okay, yeah, it was entertaining. It's not a movie that I'd rush to watch again. I won't lie on that. But I did find it entertaining, and it is worthy of the watch. Like I said, some of the comedic moments in here are a little bit off point in certain areas where I just didn't find it funny. And there were other bits in there which I did find funny. Jim Carrey's character, you know, he is good, but he's not the best. The storyline isn't hard to follow. The visuals and special effects are pretty good. I gotta be honest with you, not the best. They're really not the best, but they are very suitable for what they were trying to show you, so to speak. You know, I didn't expect anything amazingly massive in this, but you can tell this is just aimed at a very kid orientated kind of audience. Um, I'm not going to go too much more into depth with that. All I can tell you is, yes, I was entertained. So if I was to give this a rating, I would give this possibly a 5 or 6 out of 10. That's not being harsh. It's just the fact that I was never bored in this. It's that the comedic moments are a little bit off in this a little bit. It seemed like forced comedy in certain areas. Jim Carrey was just playing Jim Carrey. There was nothing new there as such. I did like his character as Dr. Robotnik, to be honest with you. He is this super intelligent kind of guy, you know, who thinks he's above everybody else. It's that kind of cocky, arrogant, I am the best in the world. I did kind of enjoy that kind of side of it. It just, in certain areas, just felt a little bit off. And that's the reason why I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. I just found it a very good, entertaining movie. I'm pretty sure that anybody who's a massive fan of the games, that there are going to be certain things in this movie that you seriously didn't like or you wanted in this movie. I get that, I understand it, but I went into this as just entertainment watch to see if I can get through it. If I was any points in this movie I was bored, I wasn't. I got to the end and went, yep, I'm entertained, and that's the reason why I'm going to give it 5 or 6 out of 10. So on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please take care, and goodbye.